My name is Danielle West, and this is my husband, Russ.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Last week, we talked about flooding, emotional flooding. This week, we're going to talk about soften startup, which, as I mentioned last week, Danielle has perfected and has helped our marriage so much. And then next week, we will talk about using I statements versus you statements. And once again, these are 3 tools that you can learn quickly, you can implement them quickly, and most importantly, you can get results, positive feedback very quickly. Like I said, there's other tools that you can learn that are more complex, take a lot more practice, but these are 3 that you can learn and implement quickly. So I'm gonna let Danielle talk about soften startup a little bit because she has perfected it.
Only because I had to.
Yes.
What I didn't realize is when I came to Russ with a problem, I would just blurt it out. I would just go right into, oh, the landscaper cut down the wrong tree and now he wants an extra $500. And Russ would be like, what? And he would get so upset. And as a personalizer, I'm a personalizer, I would take it to heart and feel like he was yelling at me instead of what he really was angry about the landscaper situation.
Right.
But it would escalate into a fight for us. So here I'm coming to him with a problem, thinking I need help. And then he's here yelling what I think is at me. And so one of the things we learned was a softened startup, which has been absolutely key because he's more verbal in his approach and I'm not as much. The idea of the softened startup is to come to him, and I would do this sometimes because he works from the house, which is probably not a good time to do it. And say, hey, is now a good time to share something with you? I've been working on this issue and I need your help. And he would either be like, no, I have a call coming up right now. Can we discuss this in a few minutes? Or it would be, yeah, I'm good right now. Go ahead. And that simple question would help. It would just explain what it would do for you.
Yeah, so it was amazing what it does for me because I'm a magnifier, which means I overreact to things. I make small things big, big things bigger. So she might bring me something that's really not that big a deal, but I immediately magnify it. And especially if, like she said, if I'm hyper-focused working and she would walk in and just spring something on me, then I would have this intense negative reaction to it, and it would hurt her feelings because she was a personalizer. It would hurt anybody's feelings, but being a personalizer, it does even more. But what she learned to do, I think, that was the technique that was so wonderful, is she would come to me and she would say, hey, I've got something hard to talk about, that's difficult to talk about, and it's probably going to make you a little anxious or a little angry or upset, but I need your help with this. I've tried very hard to solve this problem, and I need your help. Is now a safe time to talk about it. That emotional safety that we've talked about before is now a safe time to talk about. And it's amazing. It was like a trigger. I don't even know what it is, but I know it's going to be something that's difficult that she's trying to deal with. Like she said, it may be the landscaper who cut down the wrong tree and now it's $500. But by just saying that, it was like a switch would go off, and I would immediately calm down and say, sure, what, I would take my focus off whatever I was doing, turn to her and say, sure, what is it? And now I'm calm, and now I'm in help her mode versus
angry mode.
Right. Instead of overreacting mode, now I'm in help her solve it. And then if she tells me that example about the landscaper, now I'm thinking, okay, how can I deal with this in a calm way versus just I'm focused here now, this is thrown at me now, I react negatively and out of frustration towards the situation, but it goes towards her. So really try this. Once again, the technique is to come to your spouse and say, hey, I've got something difficult to talk to you about. I really need your help. I've tried to solve this on my own, but I really need your help. It might make you anxious.
That was a key thing I would say is I have something that's hard to tell you and it might make you anxious, and it seems to have the opposite effect when I would share that with him.
And then ask for their help and say, is now a safe time, or is now a good, in her point, is now a good time, safe time, whatever word you want to use.
And when we say safe, we mean that emotional safety.
Yeah, emotional safety. I mean, I'm not going to overreact or get angry. And so when she would do, and you could say now's not a good time. Like she said, I could say I have a really important conference call coming up in 5 minutes. Well, the last thing I want on my brain is some difficult thing we're dealing with personally. So it's okay to say no, and then as soon as you can get to a good time, obviously you'll go back to them. So
And be careful not to say yes just because you're curious.
Mm-hmm. Right, absolutely.
Because that person really needs you to be safe, and just because you're curious and you're trying to fit it Okay, the lights are back on.
Yeah, a little lightning storm going on here. Sorry about that. But back to Soften Startup. So once again, this is a simple tool that we learned and implemented, especially Danielle implemented very quickly. And it was transformational for our marriage immediately. It had such a big impact on our marriage so fast. And that's when
Fewer
it's
arguments.
yeah, and when that happens, it gives you the motivation to work on other tools. When you see that you can really improve your marriage and have a big impact on your marriage with something simple like that. So give it a try and give us your feedback. And next week, we're going to talk about I statements versus you statements in the third part of this series. And I hope you're trying the one last week about dealing with flooding and hope that's helped as well. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.